The lights were merciless. Bright, white, and sharp, they exposed every detail on stage. Every pore, every wrinkle, every thread of fabric. They made the designer gowns shimmer like liquid gold and diamonds. They also made old sandals look even older. Amelie stood under those lights like a thorn among roses. She could feel the eyes on her, thousands of them. Contestants, audience, cameramen, even the host. Everybody stared at the African girl in the wrong outfit. The other women sparkled like trophies. Long legs wrapped in silk, nails painted glossy red, lips plump from cosmetic clinics. Their gowns trailed behind them like waterfalls of glitter. Emily? She wore a faded cream blouse, ironed carefully that morning until the charcoal iron left a burn mark near the hem. A black skirt she'd bought secondhand at an open market. Her brown sandals had soles thinner than paper. She had no makeup, just cocoa butter shine cheeks and her short curly afro, which sat on her head like a stubborn crown. The whispers started immediately. She looks like a maid. Did she come straight from the bus stop? Oh my God! Who let her in? Amelie heard every word. She didn't flinch. She just shifted her weight onto one foot and folded her arms, muttering inside her head, "If they laugh one more time, I'll clap for them, because free comedy is rare." The host strutted out with a grin too wide for his face. His suit glittered like it had swallowed all the studio lights. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most awaited reality show of the year, Love with the CEO. Tonight, one of these dazzling contestants may become the bride of Korea's most eligible bachelor. The audience screamed and clapped. Amelie clapped too, slowly, sarcastically, earning glares from the contestants around her. Then the man himself walked in. Lee Junwoo, the billionaire CEO of J&K Corporation. The crowd went mad. Women screamed his name like he was a K-drama star. Phones flashed. The air smelled of perfume and desperation. He was tall, broad-shouldered, his black tuxedo cut like it had been sewn directly on his skin. His eyes were cold, sharp, scanning the contestants as though he were inspecting diamonds at an auction. His jawline could cut bread. His expression, emotionless as stone. The other women almost fainted, adjusting hair, arching backs, biting lips. Amelie squinted at him and thought, handsome, yes, but this man looks like he hasn't laughed since 1995. The host began introductions. Each contestant stepped forward to boast. "I'm Hannah. I own 5 boutiques. I collect luxury cars, and I'm passionate about fashion. I'm Sujin. I studied fashion in Paris, and I love wine tasting. I'm Yura. I'm an actress, a model, and I've been featured in countless commercials." The applause was polite, predictable. Then the spotlight hit Amelie. Her sandals squeaked as she stepped forward. Her palms were sweaty, but her tongue was sharp. "I'm Amelie," she said simply, her African accent rolling beautifully in the mic. "I don't own boutiques. I don't own cars. But I can cook rice so good it'll make you forget your name." The entire hall fell into a stunned silence, then erupted in laughter. "Rice? Is she serious? She thinks this is a cooking show?" Amelie ignored them. She tilted her head and added, "Honestly, I came here to see if this CEO is truly as serious as people say, or if he's just another man who gets weak when he smells money." The audience gasped loudly. The contestants froze, horrified. But Lee Junwoo raised an eyebrow. His lips twitched, just a little. For the first time that night, he looked entertained. The host coughed nervously. "Ahem, such boldness. Very refreshing." The contestants glared at her. How dare she make the CEO react? From the audience came cruel whispers. "She's embarrassing Africa. She looks like she came straight from the market. Why would the producers cast her?" Amelie heard them. She smiled sweetly, then turned to the contestant beside her. A tall Korean woman in a sequin dress dripping with diamonds. "Excuse me," Amelie whispered, loud enough for her microphone to pick up. "If the lights go out, I'll borrow your necklace to find my way home." The woman gasped in horror. The audience howled with laughter. Amelie smirked. Inside, she thought, "Let them laugh. At least I'm trending." The night went on. The CEO began asking questions. To Hannah, he asked, "What do you value most in life?" Hannah purred, "Luxury." A woman should always shine like a diamond. Emily muttered, "Diamonds don't even shine at night without light." The mic caught it. The audience roared. To Sujin, he asked, "What would you do as my wife?" She answered, "I would host charity galas and make you proud." Emily leaned in. "She means selfies for Instagram." Laughter exploded again. Even the host bent double. Finally, the CEO's eyes shifted to Emily. "And you?" Emily shrugged. "Me? I'd probably argue with you when you're wrong, cook for you when you're hungry, and snore next to you when I'm tired." The crowd gasped in shock. No one spoke to him like that. For a second, silence swallowed the hall. Then, the CEO laughed. A low, deep, genuine laugh. The contestants froze, horrified. Emily blinked. "Wait, did you just laugh? Someone call an ambulance. The CEO has feelings." The studio exploded. The host almost dropped his mic. The CEO's assistants at the corner looked like they'd seen a ghost. Emily crossed her arms and thought, "So the stone statue can laugh. Interesting." By the end of the night, she had insulted 3 contestants, made the host sweat, and turned the audience into her secret fan club. But deep inside, she was confused. She wasn't here for drama. She was here out of curiosity and maybe hope. Poverty had taught her to expect little. So when she looked at the CEO's unreadable face, she wondered, is this man just enjoying the show? Or could he actually be serious about me? What Emily didn't know was this. While everyone mocked her, while everyone rolled their eyes, Lee Junwoo, the billionaire CEO, had already decided, this girl, I want her. The next round of the dating show was the dreaded Q&A session. Every contestant knew it was the moment that could either make them shine or send them home humiliated. The stage was rearranged. The women sat in a semicircle on velvet chairs, with the CEO sitting directly in front of them, his posture as straight as if he were attending a board meeting. His expression, blank, cold, serious. Cameras zoomed in on every nervous blink. The audience leaned forward, hungry for drama. The host grinned, his teeth brighter than the stage lights. "Welcome to round 2. The CEO's questions," he announced. "Tonight, the CEO himself will ask each of our contestants a question to help him see who has the qualities of a true wife." The crowd clapped, though many of them only cared about one thing: seeing the African girl embarrass herself again. The CEO adjusted his cufflinks and scanned the line of women. His eyes lingered on Emily for a moment longer than necessary before sliding away. The first question went to Hannah, the boutique owner. "Tell me," the CEO asked coolly, "what is marriage to you?" Hannah smiled sweetly, her red lips shimmering. "Marriage, to me, is a partnership of success. A man provides luxury, and a woman provides beauty. Together, they shine before the world." The audience clapped politely. Hannah tilted her chin proudly. Emily leaned back in her chair, crossed her legs, and muttered under her breath, "So basically, she's a mannequin with free meals." The mic caught it. The audience burst into laughter. Hannah's face turned red, but she forced a smile, pretending not to hear. The next contestant, Sujin, was asked, "What is your greatest weakness?" She giggled softly, flicking her long hair. "My greatest weakness is, I love too much. Sometimes I care too deeply." Emily snorted so loudly the mic picked it up. "Madam, that's not weakness, that's clinginess." The host almost choked, trying not to laugh. The audience screamed with laughter. Even the CEO's lips twitched slightly. When it was Yura's turn, the CEO asked, "If my company was in crisis and I had no money, what would you do as my wife?" Yura blinked. "That will never happen. But if it did, I'd probably still host charity events. Maybe ask my father for help." The audience clapped weakly. The contestants nodded, pretending it was a smart answer. Emily leaned forward, stage whispering, "Translation. She'll run to Daddy's wallet." The laughter was unstoppable. Finally, the CEO's gaze landed on Emily. The hall went silent. Everyone waited, hungry to see how badly she would embarrass herself. "Emily," his deep voice rumbled, "what does marriage mean to you?" Emily tilted her head, thinking. Then she leaned into the mic. "Marriage? It's like owning a chicken." The audience gasped. The contestants almost fainted. The host looked like he might collapse on the floor. The CEO raised an eyebrow. A chicken? Yes, Emily said seriously. You feed it, protect it, love it, but sometimes it poops on your doorstep. You don't throw it away, though. You clean up and keep going. That's marriage. For 3 long seconds, the entire hall froze in silence. Then, the CEO chuckled. Actually chuckled. The contestants gasped, staring in horror. Did the iceberg just crack? Emily shrugged casually. At least I didn't say it's about beauty and diamonds. I can't even afford fake gold. The audience screamed with laughter, clapping wildly. Emily smiled, amused with herself. The CEO's eyes softened, just for a second. And what if I lost everything? My company, my money, my position. Emily leaned back, crossing her arms. Then I'd ask you to fetch firewood while I cook. At least I know we won't starve. The audience exploded in laughter and applause. Someone even shouted, "Marry her already." The other contestants were furious. Hannah whispered loudly, "She's making a fool of herself." But the truth was obvious. The CEO was enjoying it. The host tried to move on, wiping sweat from his forehead. Next question. But the CEO wasn't done. He leaned forward, his eyes locked on Emily. "Tell me," he said slowly, "why did you join this show?" The hall grew silent again. Everyone expected her to say something stupid. Emily cleared her throat. "Honestly? Free food." The audience erupted, clutching their stomachs from laughter. Emily continued, smirking, "You think I'd miss a chance to eat 5-star meals for free? Even the water here tastes expensive." Even the CEO laughed this time. A deep, genuine laugh that made his assistants at the side panic, whispering to each other like, "He's actually laughing?" Emily leaned forward, teasing, "Don't laugh too much, Sionim. People might think you're human." The audience screamed. The contestants nearly fainted. For a moment, it didn't feel like a dating show anymore. It felt like a comedy stage with Emily as the star. But underneath the humor, there was truth. Emily's answers weren't rehearsed, weren't fake, weren't designed to impress. They were raw, genuine, and funny. And that's what made them powerful. The CEO sat back, watching her with an expression no one could read. But his eyes betrayed a spark. Meanwhile, the contestants fumed. Hannah whispered furiously, "She's stealing the spotlight." Sujin hissed, "How dare she make him laugh?" Yura clenched her fists. "She's poor. She's nothing. This is temporary." But Emily didn't care. She leaned back, stretched, and whispered to herself, "Let them choke on their jealousy. I'm just here to enjoy the free air conditioning." By the time the round ended, the audience had chosen their favorite. Not the designer-dressed beauties, not the rich daughters or models, but Emily, the poor African girl with sandals and wit sharper than diamonds. And Lee Junwoo, the CEO? He was no longer bored. He was intrigued. The next morning, the contestants were summoned earlier than usual. The producers told them it was for a special round. The women squealed, rushing to get their hair done. Their dresses steamed, and their faces powdered. They assumed it would be a glamorous dinner, maybe even a yacht date. Emily, meanwhile, rolled over on her small bed in the contestants' dorm and groaned. "Early morning? These people don't know Africans need their tea first," she muttered, dragging herself to the bathroom. She wore her simple skirt and blouse again, while the others wore glittering cocktail dresses as if going to meet kings. When they arrived on set, the hall had been transformed. No velvet chairs, no sparkling chandeliers, no expensive stage lights. Instead, there was a long table filled with raw vegetables, bags of rice, onions, chicken, and fish. Buckets of water stood to the side. The contestants froze in shock. "What is this?" Hannah gasped, clutching her gown. Is this a market?" Sujin cried, horrified. "My dress will smell." Yura wailed. Emily blinked twice, then clapped her hands. "Ah, finally something useful. I was beginning to think this show was just for hair-flipping competitions." The audience roared with laughter. Even some staff hiding behind cameras covered their mouths to stop giggling. The host stepped forward, grinning. "Ladies, welcome to the secret test. Today, our CEO wants to see how well you can handle everyday life." The women gasped in horror. Everyday life? That sounded poor. Each of you will have to cook a meal from these ingredients, the host explained. No chefs, no assistants, just you, your skills, and the clock. Sujin's jaw dropped. But I don't cook, Hannah whimpered. I have a private chef at home. Yura almost fainted. I can't even cut an onion. Amelie, meanwhile, picked up a fish and examined it with the confidence of a woman who had survived many markets. This one is fresh. You see the eyes? Clear. Not cloudy. Good fish. At least they didn't bring rotten ones. The audience clapped and cheered wildly. The CEO sat at the judging table, his face unreadable. But his eyes followed Amelie closely. The clock started. The women panicked. Hannah tried to peel an onion but screamed when juice squirted into her eye. Oh my God! It burns! She wailed, waving her manicured fingers dramatically. Sujin tried to wash rice but ended up flooding the counter. She screamed, "The rice is drowning! Somebody save it!" Yura attempted to cut vegetables but dropped the knife, shrieking like it was a snake. The audience howled with laughter. Even the CEO had to pinch the bridge of his nose to hide a smile. Amelie, meanwhile, tied her skirt at the waist and got to work. She hummed an African folk song while chopping onions with speed. She cleaned the fish neatly, marinated it with spices, and set a pot of rice boiling. The other contestants glanced at her in horror. She actually knows what she's doing, Sujin whispered. Unbelievable, Hannah hissed. She looks like a wife, Yura muttered, jealous. Amelie grinned and called across the room, Sujin, the rice is not drowning. You're supposed to drain it, not baptize it. The audience screamed with laughter. Sujin's face turned crimson. Amelie then turned to Hannah, who was still sobbing over her onion. Don't cry, dear. The onion is not your enemy. It just wants attention. The crowd clapped. The CEO's lips twitched. When time was up, the judges inspected the meals. Hannah's food looked like a crime scene. The onions were raw, the rice half-cooked, and the chicken, well, let's just say it was black on the outside and bleeding on the inside. Sujin presented a soggy disaster that looked like soup when it was supposed to be rice. Yura served a plate of vegetables so poorly chopped it looked like she had fought them in a dark alley. Then came Amelie's dish. She presented golden fried fish, fluffy white rice, and a side of spicy vegetables. The aroma filled the hall, making even the cameraman's stomachs growl. The CEO leaned forward, inhaling the scent. He picked up a spoon, tasted the rice, and closed his eyes. Silence. The contestants held their breath. Then, he nodded. Perfect. The audience screamed with excitement. Amelie smirked. Of course it's perfect. That rice has survived African firewood stoves. These gas stoves are nothing. The hall erupted in laughter. The CEO's eyes twinkled. For the first time, he looked alive. But the test wasn't over. The host clapped his hands. Ladies, there's one more part of the challenge. Cleaning. The contestants groaned in horror. Buckets of dirty dishes were wheeled out. Soap, rags, and basins were placed beside them. Each of you must wash the dishes you used. The CEO wants to see if you can handle simple responsibilities. The glamorous women stared at the buckets like they had just been asked to wrestle crocodiles. I can't do this, Hannah cried. My nails will break. My skin is too sensitive for soap, Sujin wailed. I refuse. This is not what I signed up for, Yura screeched. The audience booed loudly. Amelie rolled up her sleeves, dipped her hands into the soapy water, and started scrubbing plates like a professional. She even sang while she worked. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Find me a rich hubby. The audience screamed with laughter, clapping to her rhythm. The CEO leaned back, staring at her. She wasn't just hardworking. She was funny, confident, and genuine. She wasn't pretending to be perfect. She was real. Amelie rinsed the last dish, wiped her hands on her skirt, and stood tall. There. At least now I know. If this man doesn't choose me, I can start a cleaning company and feed myself. The crowd exploded with cheers. The other contestants sulked, refusing to touch the dishes. Their mascara was smudged from fake tears, their gowns stained from splashes of water. But Amelie? She stood glowing, her afro shining under the lights, her smile dazzling, her confidence unshaken. The CEO whispered something to his assistant. The assistant's eyes widened in shock. Amelie noticed his lips curve slightly, and for a second, she wondered, is he smiling at me? Or am I hallucinating because I haven't eaten enough? Either way, one thing was clear. Amelie had passed the secret test with flying colors, and the CEO had fallen a little deeper into her charm. The studio was buzzing louder than ever. Viewers worldwide had their eyes glued to the live-streamed Korean dating show. The tension was thicker than smoke in a burning hut. The spotlight circled the women standing on the stage like hunters waiting for prey. Jin-woo, the billionaire CEO every woman in Korea dreamed of, stood tall in his black tuxedo. His presence alone commanded silence. Sharp jawline, piercing eyes, and that calm smile that made hearts race. He held a single red rose in his hand, the symbol of his final choice. The girls lined up were trembling. Some smiled nervously, others looked confident in their designer gowns. But at the very end of the line stood Amelie, the simple African girl in her borrowed yellow dress and worn-out flats. Her short curly afro glistened under the lights, and her eyes sparkled with something no money could buy: authenticity. The hosts tried to hype up the moment. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Korea will witness the most shocking decision of this season, one shouted dramatically. The Korean women exchanged glances, whispering under their breath. Of course, he won't pick her. She's too poor, too simple. She doesn't even belong here. What was she thinking? Coming here with that cheap dress? Amelie heard them, but instead of shrinking, she smiled. She lifted her chin like a queen who had already won. Jin-woo began walking down the line. His footsteps echoed through the hall. The camera zoomed in on each woman's anxious face. One of the contestants, Hyejin, pouted dramatically and even blew him a kiss, earning giggles from the audience. But when Jin-woo reached Amelie, he paused. For the first time, he spoke directly to her. You've been quiet throughout the show. Why? Amelie took a deep breath. The entire world seemed to be holding its breath with her. Because I don't believe love needs noise, she said softly. Love shows itself in action, in kindness, in respect, not in expensive clothes or fake smiles. If you don't choose me, I'll walk away with nothing, but at least I'll still have my dignity. The studio went dead silent. The audience gasped. Even the hosts froze. The Korean contestants looked at each other in disbelief. One of them muttered, "Did she just call us fake?" Jinwoo's lips curled into a smile. "You remind me of someone," he said gently. "My mother. She had nothing, but she raised me with everything she could give, her heart. You speak like her." He raised the rose high, and everyone leaned forward. The dramatic background music swelled. The spotlight hit Amelie's face. Then he placed the rose in her hand. The studio exploded. People screamed. Some clapped, others shouted. One contestant stormed off the stage, heels clacking in anger. Another burst into tears, wailing dramatically. Twitter and YouTube live chats went wild. "No way! The CEO chose the African girl. This is history. She's so pure, OMG. The others were so fake. I love her already." Jin-woo turned to the cameras. Money can buy dresses, cars, and diamonds, but money can't buy a heart like hers. And that's what I want. The host, still recovering from shock, stammered, "So, are you saying you're officially choosing Amelie as your future wife?" Jin-woo didn't hesitate. He took her hand, kissed it gently, and said, "Yes, she is the one." The crowd screamed louder. Amelie stood frozen, tears filling her eyes. She whispered to him, "But why me? I'm just a poor girl." He smiled, "Because you're real, and real is rare." The other contestants fumed. Hyejin stomped her foot and shouted, "This is unfair. She doesn't even have a proper job. No background. Nothing. She's not Korean. How can she be the CEO's wife?" Jin-woo turned sharply to her. His voice dropped, firm and commanding. "Love has no nationality, no price tag. If you think money makes you better than her, then you've already lost." The audience roared with applause. Amelie, overwhelmed, burst into tears. But these were not tears of sadness. They were tears of victory, of joy, of finally being seen for who she was. Jin-woo wiped her cheek gently, whispering, "Don't cry. From today, you'll never be despised again. The cameras zoomed in as he pulled her into a warm embrace. The whole world witnessed it live. An African girl, mocked and ridiculed, crowned with the love of Korea's richest man. Tabloids splashed headlines across Korea. Billionaire CEO marries African bride. Fairy tale romance shocks nation. From simple to royalty, Amelie steals Korea's heart. Amelie walked hand in hand with Jin-woo. No longer the poor girl in the yellow dress, but still the same woman with the same kind heart. And every time she looked at him, she remembered the night the world laughed at her, until love proved them all wrong.
Hello besties, in this story we learned that true beauty and worth are not measured by wealth, designer clothes or outward appearance, but by the heart, character and authenticity of a person. Many mocked Emily because she was poor, simple and different from the rest, but the CEO saw beyond the surface and valued her humility, honesty and kindness. This story reminds us that society often judges quickly, but real love and real success come from looking deeper. It also shows that confidence in your true self will always stand out. While others compete with flashiness and pride, Emily's simplicity spoke louder. Finally, it teaches that mockery can sometimes be the path to your destiny. The very stage where she was humiliated became the stage where she was chosen and celebrated. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly like, subscribe and share.